The last thing Jinwoo remembered was the violent shaking of his ship. Red warning lights filled the cockpit as the ion storm tore through his shields. He tried to regain control, but the electrical surge fried his navigation systems. The planet below grew larger in his viewport, spinning faster and faster. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, pain shot through his entire body. He was lying on something soft, but the air felt wrong. Too heavy, too warm. Strange sounds echoed around him. Voices speaking a language he had never heard before. He tried to move, but his muscles refused to cooperate. A face appeared above him. Silver skin, violet eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. The face belonged to a woman, but she was unlike any human he had ever seen. Her features were sharp and angular, with high cheekbones and a strong jaw. Her hair was white and cut short, practical for someone who looked like a soldier. "You were talking about me in your sleep," she said. Jinwoo blinked, confused. Her accent was thick, each word pronounced with careful precision. He tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. The woman reached for something beside her and held a container to his lips. The liquid inside tasted bitter and metallic, but it helped. "Where am I?" he managed to croak. "My tent," the woman said simply. She sat back on her heels, studying him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "You crashed 3 days ago. Your ship is destroyed. You should be dead." Jinwoo's mind raced. 3 days? He looked around and realized he was inside some kind of shelter. The walls glowed faintly with their own light, casting everything in a soft blue color. Strange equipment lined the sides, nothing he recognized. Through the entrance, he could see darkness outside and hear voices arguing. "What planet is this?" he asked. "Koresh 7, the woman said, watching his reaction carefully. Jinwoo's blood ran cold. Every spacer knew about Koresh 7. It was a forbidden world, home to the Valter warrior clans. Dozens of exploration teams had landed here over the centuries. None had survived. The Valtor killed all outsiders on sight. It was their law, their tradition, their way of keeping their world pure. "You're Valtor," he said, stating the obvious. "Yes. My name is Aaron." She tilted her head slightly. "And you are human. The first living human I have ever seen. Why haven't you killed me?" The question came out before he could stop it. Aaron smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Many of my warriors wanted to. They said we should follow the old ways, but I invoked the right of curiosity. It is an ancient law that allows us to spare unusual things we find, to study them before deciding their fate." "So I'm a specimen," Jinwoo said bitterly. "You are alive," Aaron replied. "That is more than any other outsider can say." Outside the tent, the argument grew louder. Jinwoo could hear anger in the voices even if he couldn't understand the words. Aaron stood and moved to the entrance, speaking sharply in her own language. The voices fell silent, but Jinwoo could sense the tension. Aaron returned and crouched beside him again. "They do not trust you. They think you are weak, that you will slow us down or betray us to your people. I told them you will prove your worth or I will end you myself." "That's comforting," Jinwoo muttered. "It should be," Aaron said seriously. "I saved your life. Now you owe me a debt. In Valtor culture, a life debt is sacred. You will repay it by showing us what humans are capable of." Over the next few hours, Aaron explained their situation. She commanded a scouting unit of 12 warriors on a long patrol along the northern territories. They were mapping the region and watching for threats. When Jinwoo's ship crashed, they were the closest unit to investigate. She told him about her world, about Valter culture and their warrior traditions. They valued strength above all else. Weakness was not tolerated. Their planet was harsh and unforgiving, with extreme temperatures and dangerous predators. Only the strong survived here, and the Valter had learned to be the strongest. "Why did you really save me?" Jinwoo asked. "You could have let your warriors kill me and been done with it." Aaron was quiet for a long moment. Her violet eyes seemed to look through him rather than at him. "I have dreamed of you," she finally said, "for many nights before you crashed. In my dreams, a stranger comes to our world, someone different, someone who changes everything. The Valter believe dreams show us possible futures. You think I'm going to change your world?" Jinwoo couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "I think you are here for a reason," Aaron said, "and I want to know what that reason is." The next morning, Jinwoo was able to stand. His body ached, but nothing seemed permanently damaged. Aaron's medical technology was far beyond anything humans had. She had healed his broken bones and internal injuries in just 3 days. The other Valtor warriors watched him with cold eyes as he emerged from the tent. They were all tall and muscular, built like soldiers from a recruitment poster. Their silver skin seemed to shimmer in the morning light, and their eyes ranged from violet to deep blue. They wore armor made of a dark metal he didn't recognize, practical and efficient. One warrior stepped forward, larger than the others. Her expression was hostile. She spoke to Aaron in their language, her tone challenging. Aaron replied calmly but firmly. The warrior spat on the ground near Jinwoo's feet and walked away. "That is Hana, my second in command," Aaron explained. "She thinks I am making a mistake." "She believes compassion is weakness, is it?" Jinwoo asked. Aaron looked at him. "We will find out." The unit broke camp quickly and efficiently. They moved like a well-trained military squad, each warrior knowing their role without needing orders. Jinwoo was given a pack to carry heavy with supplies. No one offered to help him or show him what to do. He was expected to keep up or be left behind. As they marched into the wilderness of Koresh 7, Jinwoo realized his real test was just beginning. This world would try to kill him. These warriors would watch for any sign of weakness. And somewhere in all of this, Aaron believed he had a purpose. He adjusted the pack on his shoulders and started walking. If he was going to survive, he would need to prove that humans were tougher than the Valtor believed. He would need to show them what humanity was really capable of. Behind him, Aaron watched with those intense violet eyes. She had saved him because of a dream. Now he had to prove that dream was more than just hope. The first day of marching nearly killed Jinwoo. The pack on his back weighed at least 30 kilograms, maybe more. The terrain was rocky and uneven, forcing him to watch every step. The Valtor warriors moved at a steady pace that never seemed to slow, their powerful legs carrying them over obstacles that made Jinwoo struggle. By midday, his legs were shaking. Sweat poured down his face and soaked through his borrowed clothes. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the temperature had risen to what felt like 40 degrees. None of the Valtor seemed bothered. They didn't even appear to be breathing hard. Jinwoo refused to ask for a break. He could see them watching him, waiting for him to fail. Hana especially kept looking back with an expression that clearly said she expected him to collapse at any moment. He gritted his teeth and kept walking. When they finally stopped for a rest, Jinwoo dropped his pack and sat heavily on a rock. His muscles screamed in protest. He pulled out his water container and drank deeply, trying to rehydrate. The Valtor warriors barely drank at all. Their bodies seemed designed for this harsh environment. Aaron approached and stood beside him. "You are slower than I expected," she said. "Thanks," Jinwoo gasped, "but you have not given up." "That is interesting." She handed him what looked like a dark brown bar. "Eat this. It will give you energy." Jinwoo examined the ration bar skeptically. It smelled awful, like burnt plastic mixed with old gym socks. "What's in it?" "Nutrients, minerals, everything a Valtor warrior needs." Aaron watched him closely. "It will probably make you sick. Your biology is different from ours." "Encouraging," Jinwoo muttered, but he took a bite anyway. The taste was even worse than the smell. It was bitter and gritty, with a metallic aftertaste that made his teeth ache. He forced himself to swallow and waited for his stomach to rebel. But after a few minutes, nothing happened. In fact, he started to feel better. Energy returned to his tired muscles. Aaron's eyes widened slightly. "You can digest our food," she said, and there was surprise in her voice. "That should not be possible. The minerals in our rations are toxic to most species." "Human stomachs are tough," Jinwoo said. "We evolved as scavengers. We can eat almost anything." Around them, other warriors had noticed. They were whispering to each other and glancing at Jinwoo with new expressions. Not quite respect, but something closer to interest. He had passed their first test without even knowing it. The march continued for another 6 hours. Jinwoo's legs felt like they were on fire, but he kept moving. He focused on breathing, on putting one foot in front of the other, on not giving these warriors the satisfaction of seeing him quit. When the sun began to set, the temperature dropped rapidly. Within an hour, it went from scorching heat to bitter cold. Jinwoo started shivering. The Valtor seemed unbothered by the temperature change, but he could see his breath forming clouds in the air. Then something strange happened. His body began to adapt. The shivering slowed and then stopped. His core temperature stabilized. He was still cold, but it was manageable. The human ability to thermoregulate through different mechanisms was kicking in. That night, they made camp in a sheltered valley. The warriors set up their tents with military efficiency. Jinwoo helped where he could, trying to learn their methods. Some warriors ignored him. Others watched with calculating eyes. A warrior named Minho approached him. Minho was shorter than the others, built lean and quick like a runner. He studied Jinwoo for a moment, then spoke in heavily accented but understandable human language. "You walk far today. Not bad for soft species." "I'm tougher than I look," Jinwoo replied. Minho grinned, showing teeth that were slightly sharper than human teeth. "Maybe yes, maybe no. Tomorrow we see." That night, Jinwoo lay in his tent and listened to the sounds of the alien world around him. Strange creatures howled in the distance. The wind made eerie whistling sounds through the rocks. He thought about Earth, about the life he'd left behind. He had been a salvage pilot, scraping by on the edges of civilization. Not exactly a glorious career. Through the fabric of his tent, he heard voices. Aaron was speaking to someone in Valter language. He couldn't understand the words, but he recognized her voice. There was a rhythm to how she spoke, a pattern that reminded him of someone reciting notes or keeping a journal. The next morning brought new challenges. The terrain became steeper, climbing into a mountain range. Jinwoo's legs, already sore from yesterday, protested every step. But something had changed. His body was adapting to the constant exertion. His muscles were learning the rhythm of this endless march. Around noon, they encountered their first real danger. A creature emerged from behind a boulder, something that looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard. It was massive, easily 3 meters tall with scales that reflected the sunlight like armor. The Valtor called it a ridgeback. The warriors immediately formed a defensive circle, weapons drawn. Jinwoo had no weapon, but he picked up a large rock. The ridgeback circled them, assessing the threat. Its eyes were intelligent, calculating. Then Jinwoo noticed something. The creature's movements were not aggressive. It was curious, yes, but also cautious. It was testing them, trying to determine if they were prey or predators. In his years as a salvage pilot, Jinwoo had encountered many alien species. He had learned to read body language across different biological systems. "Don't attack," he said quickly. "It's not hunting. It's just checking us out." Hana snarled something in Valter that was clearly a curse. "The human knows nothing. We should kill it before it kills us." "Wait," Aaron commanded. She looked at Jinwoo. "Why do you say this?" "Look at its posture. The way it moves. If it wanted to attack, it would have done it already. It's alone, we're a group. It's being smart, not aggressive." The ridgeback took another step closer. Every warrior tensed, ready to strike. But Jinwoo slowly raised his hands, showing he was unarmed. He made himself smaller, less threatening. The creature watched him with those intelligent eyes. After a long moment, the ridgeback snorted and turned away. It disappeared back into the rocks, leaving the patrol unharmed. Silence fell over the group. Then Minho laughed, a sharp bark of sound. Human reads animals like Valtor reads tracks. Useful skill. Even Hana looked slightly less hostile. Aaron studied Jinwoo with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You have knowledge we do not," she said. "This is valuable." That evening, things changed. Warriors who had ignored Jinwoo before now spoke to him. Minho taught him some basic Valtor words. A warrior named Suji, who maintained their equipment, asked him about human technology. They were starting to see him as a resource rather than just a burden. Later, Aaron sat with him by the fire. "You surprised them today," she said. "I surprised myself," Jinwoo admitted. "In your sleep, you speak of many things. Your world, your fears, your dreams," she paused. "And sometimes you speak of me." Jinwoo felt his face grow hot. "I don't remember my dreams." "Perhaps that is for the best." Aaron looked up at the alien stars above them. "Tell me about Earth, about your people. Why do you travel so far from home?" So Jinwoo talked. He told her about humanity's expansion into space, about their wars and their art. He explained human culture, so different from Valter tradition. He spoke of hope, of humanity's stubborn refusal to give up even when things seemed impossible. Aaron listened intently, asking questions that showed she understood more than he expected. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "Your people sound weak by Valter standards," she finally said, "but you survive anyway." "That is interesting." "We're not weak," Jinwoo said. "We're adaptable. That's our strength." Aaron smiled, and this time there was warmth in it. "Yes, I am beginning to see that." 2 weeks into the patrol, Jinwoo felt like a different person. His body had hardened from the constant marching. His muscles no longer screamed in protest at the end of each day. He could keep pace with the Valter warriors now, though they still moved with an ease he would never quite match. The patrol had entered a region of dense forest. The trees here were massive, their trunks wider than houses and their canopy so thick that little sunlight reached the ground. Strange plants grew everywhere, some that glowed with their own light. The air was thick and humid, making every breath feel heavy. Minho walked beside Jinwoo, pointing out tracks and signs that marked the passage of different creatures. The Valter warrior had taken it upon himself to teach Jinwoo wilderness survival skills. In return, Jinwoo shared what he knew about navigation and technology. "You learn quick," Minho said approvingly. "Most outsiders would be dead by now." "I'm motivated," Jinwoo replied. Suji, the unit's engineer, had also warmed to him. She was fascinated by human problem-solving methods. The previous night, Jinwoo had helped her repair a damaged sensor array using techniques the Valter had never considered. She had actually smiled at him, which seemed to be a rare occurrence. Only Hana remained hostile. She watched Jinwoo with cold eyes, always looking for mistakes. She made no secret of the fact that she thought Aaron's decision to save him was foolish, but even Hana had stopped openly calling for his execution, which Jinwoo counted as progress. Aaron spent more time talking with him each evening. She asked endless questions about human culture, about Earth's history and philosophy. She was particularly interested in human concepts of cooperation and teamwork. The Valter valued individual strength, but humans had learned to achieve great things through collective effort. "Your species is weak individually," Aaron said one night, "but strong together." This is backwards from Valtor thinking. "Maybe both approaches have value," Jinwoo suggested. Aaron considered this. Perhaps. On the 15th day, everything changed. They were moving through a narrow canyon when Minho suddenly raised his fist, signaling a stop. Every warrior froze instantly, weapons ready. Jinwoo held his breath, straining to hear what had alerted the scout. Then he heard it, a low rumbling sound like rocks grinding together. The ground trembled slightly beneath his feet. Something very large was moving nearby. Aaron moved to the front of the formation, her expression tense. She spoke quietly to Minho, who nodded and pointed toward a ridge above them. Whatever was making that sound was getting closer. Then it appeared. The creature was enormous, easily the size of a transport vehicle. Its body was covered in thick plates that looked like armor, with long spikes protruding from its back. Its head was massive, with a mouth full of teeth designed for tearing. The Valter called it a thornback, Minho had told him once. They were the apex predators of Koresh 7, feared even by warrior clans. The thornback raised its head and roared, a sound that shook the canyon walls. The warriors immediately spread into combat formation. Energy weapons hummed to life. This was not a creature they could avoid or scare away. This was a fight for survival. But Jinwoo was watching the creature carefully. Something about its behavior seemed odd. It was moving its head back and forth in a searching pattern, almost like it was blind, but he could see its eyes clearly. They were functional. Then he noticed something else. Heat waves shimmered off the thornback's body. The creature was radiating massive amounts of thermal energy, and the way it was moving its head, that searching pattern, reminded him of thermal imaging systems he had worked with on ships. "Wait," he called out. "Don't attack yet," Hana whirled on him. "Silence, human. This is not your fight." "It hunts by heat," Jinwoo said urgently. "Look at how it moves. It's tracking thermal signatures, not visual." Aaron held up her hand, stopping Hana's angry response. "Explain quickly. I've seen hunting patterns like this before. Predators on ice planets that track prey by body heat. If I'm right, it can't see us clearly. It just knows something warm is here." Jinwoo looked around desperately. "There's a stream, 20 meters to our left. If we cover ourselves in cold mud, we can hide our thermal signatures." "This is madness," Hana snapped. "We should fight." 12 warriors against a thornback in a narrow canyon? Jinwoo shot back. "How many of you will die? 3, 4? Or we can try something that might save everyone." Aaron stared at him for a long moment. The thornback was getting closer, its massive feet shaking the ground with each step. She had to decide now. "Do it," she commanded. "Everyone to the stream, now." The warriors moved quickly but quietly. The stream was shallow but ice-cold, fed by mountain runoff. Jinwoo showed them how to coat their armor and exposed skin with thick mud from the stream bed. The cold mud would mask their thermal signatures, making them nearly invisible to the Thornback's heat vision. They pressed themselves against the canyon wall, covered in mud and freezing cold. The Thornback lumbered past them, its massive head swinging back and forth. It was so close that Jinwoo could smell its breath, a mixture of rotting meat and sulfur. The creature paused directly in front of their hiding spot. Jinwoo's heart hammered in his chest.
Had it detected them?
Was his theory wrong? Every warrior was tensed, ready to fight if needed. Then the Thornback snorted and moved on. It had lost their trail. The heat signatures had disappeared, and without them, the creature had no way to locate its prey. It continued down the canyon, its footsteps gradually fading into the distance. Nobody moved for several minutes. Finally, Aaron gave the all-clear signal. Warriors slowly stood, shaking off the cold mud. They were all staring at Jinwoo. Minho broke the silence with a loud laugh. Human saves Valter lives. This is a good story. Even some of the other warriors smiled. Suji clapped Jinwoo on the shoulder hard enough to make him stumble. Smart thinking. Very smart. Hana said nothing, but her expression had changed. The open hostility was gone, replaced by something more complex. Respect, perhaps, mixed with reluctance to admit she had been wrong. Aaron approached Jinwoo. Her violet eyes studied him intently. You saved my warriors. All of them. This is a debt my unit now owes you. I thought I already owed you a life debt, Jinwoo said. Debts can go both ways, Aaron replied. You are proving to be far more valuable than I imagined. That night, the atmosphere in camp was different. Warriors who had barely acknowledged Jinwoo before now sought him out. They wanted to know more about human tactical thinking, about different ways of solving problems. Minho insisted on teaching him Valter combat techniques, saying that someone with such a clever mind should also know how to defend himself. Suji showed him how their weapons worked, explaining the technology in detail. She admitted that human engineering approached problems from angles the Valter never considered. Different, she said, but effective. Around the fire, Aaron sat close to Jinwoo. Closer than she had before. Tell me more about human hope, she said quietly. What do you want to know? The Valter have no word for it. We have determination. We have will. But hope is different. You spoke of it before, but I did not understand. She looked at the fire. Today you hoped your idea would work. You bet all our lives on that hope. It was more than hope, Jinwoo said. It was based on observation and knowledge. But yes, there was hope involved. Hope is believing things can work out even when you're not certain. And if your hope had been wrong, if the Thornback had found us, then we would have fought. But it was worth trying to avoid that fight. Jinwoo met her eyes. Hope doesn't mean being stupid. It means looking for better options. Aaron was quiet for a long moment. My people could learn from this. Your people already know how to survive, Jinwoo said. Maybe humans and Valter just have different strengths. Maybe that's okay. She smiled and it transformed her face. For the first time, Jinwoo saw past the warrior exterior to something softer underneath. When I dreamed of you, I saw this moment. Not exactly this, but something like it. A time when you would prove your worth beyond question. What else did you dream? Jinwoo asked. Aaron's smile faded, replaced by something more serious. Many things. Some I understand, some I do not, she stood. Rest now. Tomorrow we push deeper into the wilderness. There are places ahead that even Valtor fear. As she walked away, Jinwoo realized that he was no longer just a survivor trying to stay alive. He had become part of this unit, part of their mission, and somehow he had become important to Aaron in a way that went beyond simple curiosity. He looked up at the alien stars and wondered what other challenges this world would throw at him. Whatever came next, he knew one thing for certain. He was not facing it alone. 3 weeks had passed since Jinwoo crashed on Koresh 7. The patrol reached the northern border region, where Valtor territory ended and something else began. The land here was different. The trees were twisted and dead, their branches reaching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The ground was covered in a strange gray moss that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Aaron called a halt at the edge of a cliff, overlooking a vast wasteland. She raised her hand scanner, studying the readings with a frown. The other warriors gathered around her, their expressions tense. Something wrong? Jinwoo asked. This region should be empty, Minho said. Borderlands. Nothing lives here. Too dangerous. But something is here now, Aaron said grimly. She showed Jinwoo her scanner. Even though he couldn't read the Valter language, he could see the massive clusters of red dots covering the screen. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. What are we looking at? Krill, Aaron said, and every warrior around her tensed at the word. The swarm. They are not supposed to be this close to our territory. Jinwoo had heard of the Krill during his years as a salvage pilot. They were a hive-mind species that consumed everything in their path. Entire planets had fallen to their swarms. They were efficient, ruthless, and nearly impossible to negotiate with because they had no individual consciousness. They were one mind controlling millions of bodies. How close to Valter's settlements are we? Jinwoo asked. The main city is 6 days' march south, Aaron said. If the Krill are building forces here, they are preparing to invade. Hana spoke urgently in Valtor. Aaron responded, her voice sharp and commanding. An argument broke out among the warriors. Jinwoo watched their body language and could guess what they were discussing. Some wanted to attack. Others wanted to retreat and warn their people. Finally, Aaron raised her hand for silence. She turned to Jinwoo. You have seen Krill before? Not in person. But I've salvaged ships that fought them. I've studied their tactics and technology. Jinwoo looked at the scanner readings again. Those formations down there, they're military in nature. This isn't a random gathering. They're organized. Can they be defeated? By 12 warriors? No. Jinwoo was blunt. By an army? Maybe. The Krill have weaknesses. They rely on their hive mind for coordination. If you can disrupt their communication, they become confused and easy to fight. Aaron considered this. We need intelligence. We need to know how many there are and what they are planning. Someone must get closer. I will go, Hana said immediately. No, you are my second. If something happens to me, you must lead. Aaron looked at Minho. Take 3 warriors. Get as close as you can, but do not engage. Information only. Minho nodded and selected his team. They prepared quickly, checking weapons and equipment. As they were about to leave, Jinwoo stepped forward. Take me with you. Every warrior stared at him. Minho looked like he wanted to laugh. Hana actually did laugh, a harsh bark of sound. Human wants to play scout? This is not a game. I can identify Krill technology, Jinwoo said. I can tell you what equipment they have, what their capabilities are. Minho is an excellent tracker, but he doesn't know Krill systems like I do. Aaron studied him for a long moment. He is right. His knowledge could be valuable. She looked at Minho. Take him, but if he slows you down, leave him. Understood, Minho said, though he didn't look happy about it. The scouting team moved out, descending the cliff face using climbing equipment. Jinwoo's hands were sweating as he rappelled down. He had done some climbing training during his salvage work, but this was different. This was a sheer rock face overlooking a territory filled with hostile aliens. When they reached the bottom, Minho set a fast pace. They moved through the twisted forest like ghosts, making no sound. Jinwoo struggled to keep up and stay quiet at the same time. The other Valter warriors made it look easy. As they got closer to the Krill position, they started seeing signs of activity. Strange geometric structures had been erected, all angles and crystalline surfaces. These were Krill buildings, grown from some kind of biological material. Technology and living tissue merged together in ways that made human engineering look primitive. Minho signaled to stop. They were close now. Through the dead trees ahead, Jinwoo could see movement. Krill warriors patrolling the perimeter. Each one stood about 2 meters tall, with 4 arms and a body that looked like it was made of interlocking plates. They moved with mechanical precision, but it was what lay beyond the perimeter that made Jinwoo's blood run cold. Hundreds of structures filled the wasteland, maybe thousands, and among them larger forms moved. Krill heavy assault units, the kind that could tear through armor like paper, and beyond those, massive shapes that could only be bioships, living vehicles that could transport troops. This is not a raiding party, Jinwoo whispered. This is an invasion force. Minho's expression was grim. He was recording everything with his scanner, but Jinwoo could see the warrior was shaken. They had never seen Krill forces this organized, this large. Then something caught Jinwoo's attention. One of the structures had familiar markings on it. He had seen those symbols before on salvaged equipment from Krill battles. It was a command node, a structure that helped coordinate swarm activities. There, he pointed. That building with the spiral pattern. It's a communication hub. If you could destroy that, you would disrupt their coordination in this entire sector. One of the other Valter warriors, A young fighter named Taiho leaned forward to see better. His foot came down on a dry branch. The crack sounded like a gunshot in the quiet forest. Instantly, every krill in sight turned toward their position. Alarms began to sound, a horrible chittering noise that set Jinwoo's teeth on edge. The patrol perimeter lit up with activity as krill warriors rushed toward them. "Run," Minho commanded. "Back to the cliff now." They ran. Jinwoo's heart pounded as he crashed through the underbrush. Behind them, the krill were giving chase, their movements unnaturally fast and coordinated. He could hear them getting closer, their feet making clicking sounds on the rocky ground. Taiho stumbled. A krill warrior was almost on him. Without thinking, Jinwoo grabbed a rock and hurled it at the creature's head. The rock bounced off harmlessly, but it gave Taiho the second he needed to regain his feet. They burst out of the forest and started climbing. The cliff face seemed twice as tall now that they were being chased. Jinwoo's hands shook as he clipped into the climbing rope. Behind him, krill warriors poured out of the trees. Minho was shouting into his communicator, calling for covering fire. Energy blasts started raining down from above as the rest of the Valter unit provided support. Krill warriors fell, but more kept coming. Jinwoo climbed faster than he ever had before. His muscles burned. His hands were bleeding from gripping the sharp rock, but he kept moving. Below, a krill warrior grabbed the rope he was climbing and started pulling itself up. Taiho, who had reached the top, leaned over and shot the creature. It fell away, taking part of the rope with it. Jinwoo lost his grip and swung wildly. For a terrifying moment, he thought he was going to fall. Then strong hands grabbed him and hauled him over the edge. Erin stood over him, her weapon firing down at the krill below. "Get back," she commanded. "We must retreat." The patrol pulled back from the cliff edge, laying down covering fire as they moved. The krill didn't follow. They had no climbing equipment and couldn't scale the sheer rock face. But Jinwoo knew this was just a temporary reprieve. When they were safely away, Erin gathered everyone together. Minho showed her the scanner recordings. Her face grew darker as she reviewed the images. "This is worse than we thought," she said. "This force could destroy our main city. We must warn our people immediately." "It will take us 6 days to march back," Hana said. "The swarm could attack before we arrive." Jinwoo cleared his throat. Everyone looked at him. "There might be another way. My ship crashed, but the emergency beacon was designed to be independent of the main systems. If we could reach the crash site and activate it, I could send a distress signal to human space." "Why would we call humans?" Hana demanded. "Because there's a human military patrol conducting exercises 2 systems away. I heard about it before I crashed. If they received my beacon, they could be here in days instead of weeks." Erin looked at him intently. "And why would humans come to help Valter?" "Because the krill are everyone's enemy. And because asking for help when you need it isn't weakness, it's smart strategy." Jinwoo met her gaze. "Your people don't have to face this alone." The silence that followed was heavy. Valtor had never asked outsiders for help. Their pride as warriors made the very idea shameful. But Erin looked at the scanner images again, at the massive krill invasion force preparing to destroy her people. "We will discuss this," she said finally. "But first we move to the crash site. If we are going to make this decision, we need all options available." As the patrol began marching toward where Jinwoo's ship had come down, he walked beside Erin. She was quiet, lost in thought. "This is hard for you," he said. "Everything about you has been hard," she replied, but there was no anger in her voice. "You make us question things we have always believed. That is uncomfortable. Sometimes uncomfortable is necessary." Erin looked at him with those intense violet eyes. "I am beginning to understand why I dreamed of you. You are here to change us, whether we want to change or not." Jinwoo hoped that change would be enough to save them all. It took them 2 days of hard marching to reach the crash site. What remained of Jinwoo's ship was scattered across a rocky valley. Twisted metal and scorched components spread over 100 meters. It looked worse than he remembered. It was a miracle he had survived it all. Suji and Jinwoo worked together to locate the emergency beacon. Most of the ship's systems were completely destroyed, but the beacon had been designed to survive almost anything. They found it buried under debris, its casing cracked but still functional. "Can you make it work?" Erin asked. Jinwoo examined the device carefully. The power cell was intact. The transmission array was damaged but repairable. "Give me a few hours. Suji and I can fix this." They worked through the afternoon while the rest of the patrol set up a defensive perimeter. Minho and Taiho scouted the area, making sure no krill had followed them. The tension in camp was thick. Everyone knew that what happened next would determine the fate of their people. As the sun began to set, Jinwoo made the final connection. The beacon hummed to life, its display showing active status. He had programmed it with a standard distress code that any human military ship would recognize. Now it was transmitting, sending signals out into space. How long before someone responds? Aaron asked. Could be hours, could be days. Depends on if anyone is close enough to pick up the signal. Jinwoo stood and stretched his sore back. Now we wait. That night Aaron called a unit meeting. All 12 warriors gathered around the fire. She stood before them, her expression serious. I have decided, she said in Valter, then switched to human language so Jinwoo could understand. If humans respond to our beacon, I will request their assistance. We will ask them to help defend our world. Several warriors shifted uncomfortably. Hana looked like she wanted to object but remained silent. It was Minho who spoke first. This goes against tradition, against everything we have been taught. Tradition will not save us from the swarm, Aaron replied. I have seen the krill forces. They will destroy our city. They will kill our people. If we have a chance to prevent that, we must take it. The elders will not approve, another warrior said. Then I will convince them. Aaron's voice was firm. I am doing this because it is right. Because survival is more important than pride, Hana stood. For a moment, Jinwoo thought she was going to challenge Aaron's authority. Instead, she placed her fist over her heart in a Valtor salute. I disagree with this decision, but you are my commander. I will follow. One by one, the other warriors gave the same salute. Even those who clearly had doubts were willing to trust Aaron's judgment. It was a display of loyalty that impressed Jinwoo deeply. Later, as the others settled in for the night, Jinwoo sat alone by the fire. Aaron joined him, sitting close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For giving us this option. For showing us there is another way. She stared into the flames. In my dreams, I saw two paths. One where we fight alone and die. Another where strangers come and everything changes. I always thought the second path was impossible. Nothing is impossible, Jinwoo said. Just difficult. Aaron turned to look at him. In the firelight, her silver skin seemed to glow. Her violet eyes were soft, vulnerable in a way he had never seen before. When you crashed here, I was afraid. Afraid that my dream meant nothing. Afraid that I had saved you for no reason. But now I understand. You were not just meant to live. You were meant to be a bridge. A bridge? Between your people and mine. Between old ways and new. She reached out and took his hand. A gesture that seemed uncertain, as if she wasn't sure it was allowed. Is this how humans show connection? Jinwoo closed his fingers around hers. Her skin was warm, surprisingly soft despite her warrior calluses. Yes, this is how we show we care. They sat like that for a long time, not speaking, just being together under alien stars. Jinwoo realized that somewhere along this journey, his feelings for Aaron had changed. She was no longer just the warrior who saved him. She had become someone important, someone he couldn't imagine being without. The beacon activated them just after dawn. A transmission was coming through. Jinwoo rushed to the device, his hand shaking as he adjusted the receiver. Static filled the air, then a voice broke through, speaking human language. This is Captain Youngja of the HSS Dauntless. We have received your distress signal. Identify yourself. Jinwoo grabbed the transmitter. This is salvage pilot Jinwoo. I crashed on Koresh 7 4 weeks ago. I have urgent information about a krill invasion force. There was a long pause. Did you say Koresh 7? How are you still alive? It's complicated. But right now we have a bigger problem. The krill are gathering forces for an assault on the Valter main settlement. Thousands of warriors, heavy assault units, bioships. This is a full-scale invasion. Another pause, longer this time. Jinwoo could imagine the shock on the other end. A human alive on Koresh 7 was impossible. A human asking for help for the Valter was even more impossible. Stand by, Captain Youngja said finally. We are entering orbit now. Within hours, a human military frigate appeared in the sky. It was a beautiful sight, sleek and powerful, bristling with weapons. The Valter warriors stared up at it with a mixture of awe and suspicion. A shuttle descended, landing in the valley near the crash site. The ramp lowered and a squad of human soldiers emerged, their armor marked with the insignia of the Terran Alliance military. Behind them came Captain Youngja. She was a tall woman with sharp features and gray hair tied back in a tight bun. Her uniform was immaculate, her bearing completely military. She took one look at Jinwoo standing among Valtor warriors and stopped in her tracks. "I'll be damned," she said. "You really are alive. Surprised?" Jinwoo asked. "That's putting it mildly." She approached carefully, nodding respectfully to Aaron. "I'm Captain Youngja. I assume you're in charge here?" "I am Commander Aaron," Aaron replied in careful but understandable human language. "We thank you for responding." Over the next several hours, Jinwoo served as translator and mediator. He explained the situation to Captain Youngja, showing her the scanner recordings of the Krill forces. She grew more serious as she reviewed the data. "This is worse than I thought. If the swarm takes Koresh 7, they'll have a foothold in this entire sector." She looked at Aaron. "We need to contact your leadership. This requires a coordinated defense." Aaron established communication with the Valtor Council of Elders. Their faces appeared on a holographic display, 7 ancient warriors with expressions of stone. They were not happy to see humans on their world. The argument that followed was intense. The elders saw human assistance as an insult to Valtor's strength. They would rather die fighting than accept help from outsiders. Their pride was absolute, but Aaron stood firm. She spoke passionately about duty to their people, about choosing survival over tradition. She quoted ancient Valtor philosophy, twisting their own words to support her position. She was magnificent, a warrior not just of body but of mind and spirit. Jinwoo watched her with admiration and added his own voice when needed. He explained that humans did not see cooperation as weakness. He told them about Earth's history, about how humanity had survived by learning when to fight and when to work together. Finally, the eldest of the council, a warrior named Daesung, raised his hand for silence. "You speak well, Commander Aaron, and you, human Jinwoo. You have given us much to consider." He looked at the other elders. "I propose we accept this alliance. Not because we are weak, but because we are wise. The swarm threatens us all." The vote was not unanimous. 2 elders voted against the alliance, but 5 voted for it, and that was enough. For the first time in their recorded history, the Valtor would fight alongside another species. Captain Youngja immediately began coordinating with her fleet. More ships were already on their way. Human forces would provide orbital support and advanced scanning technology. Valtor ground troops would lead the defense as they knew their own terrain best. That evening, as preparations continued, Aaron found Jinwoo sitting alone on a ridge overlooking the valley. Human soldiers and Valtor warriors were working side by side below, 2 very different peoples united by necessity. "You did it," Jinwoo said as she sat beside him. "You convinced them." "We did it," Aaron corrected. "I could not have done this without you." She took his hand again, more confident this time. "My dream is coming true, but I am frightened. What if we fail? What if I made the wrong choice?" "Then we fail together," Jinwoo said. "But I don't think we will. I think humans and Valtor are going to surprise everyone, including ourselves." Aaron leaned her head against his shoulder, another gesture she had learned from watching humans. "Promise me something. When this is over, whatever happens, stay with me. I do not want to face the future alone." Jinwoo put his arm around her, feeling the solid strength of her warrior's body against his. "I promise. Where you go, I go." Below them, 2 civilizations prepared for war, but up on that ridge, under stars that belonged to neither of their worlds, a human and a Valtor held each other and dared to hope for peace. The Krill attacked at dawn on the 3rd day. Their forces swept across the northern wasteland like a living tide, millions of bodies moving as one mind. The ground shook beneath their advance, the air filled with their chittering war cries. Jinwoo stood in the command center, a hastily erected structure that combined human and Valtor technology. Holographic displays showed the battlefield from dozens of angles. Human satellites in orbit provided real-time data. Valtor ground sensors tracked enemy movements. It was the most advanced combat coordination either species had ever assembled. Captain Youngja stood at one console, directing her ships. Aaron commanded the ground forces from another. Between them, Jinwoo served as the crucial link, translating not just language but strategy and intent. He had to understand both human military doctrine and Valtor warrior culture, then merge them into something that actually worked. "First wave is hitting Sector 7, a human officer reported. 20,000 contacts and rising. Valtor Heavy Infantry advance to defensive position Gamma, Aaron commanded. Her voice was calm despite the chaos. Hold the line. Do not let them through. On the display, Jinwoo watched Valtor warriors take positions behind fortified barriers. They were outnumbered 10-1, but they did not retreat. Human orbital strikes began raining down, energy beams carving paths through the swarm. But for every krill that fell, 5 more took its place. We need to thin their numbers faster, Captain Youngja said. At this rate, they'll overwhelm us through sheer mass. Jinwoo studied the battlefield layout. He had been analyzing krill tactics for days, looking for patterns. There, see those larger units at the rear? Those are command nodes. They're coordinating the smaller warriors. If we take them out, we'll create confusion in their ranks. Our ships can't get targeting locks through the interference, the human officer said. Then we go in from the ground, Aaron said. She was already calling up strike team leaders, fast attack units. Minho, take your team and target the command nodes. Avoid direct combat. Speed and precision. Minho's face appeared on the display. He was already in the field, covered in dust and krill ichor. Understood. Moving now. The battle intensified hour after hour. The krill came in endless waves, testing every section of the defensive line. Human ships provided devastating fire support from orbit, but they had to be careful. Too much bombardment would destroy the land the Valtor were trying to protect. Valtor warriors fought with savage efficiency. They knew this terrain, every rock and valley. They used the land itself as a weapon, funneling the swarm into kill zones where human fire support could maximize damage. It was brutal and bloody, and it was working, but then the krill deployed their biological weapon. The swarm released clouds of yellow gas across the battlefield. Valtor warriors began choking, their respiratory systems shutting down. The gas was specifically designed to attack their biology. Within minutes, entire units were incapacitated. Pull back, Aaron shouted into the comm. All units withdraw to secondary positions. Captain, your soldiers need to advance, Jinwoo said urgently. Human biology might not be affected by that gas. Youngja didn't hesitate. All ground teams move forward. Relieve the Valtor positions. Human soldiers in environmental suits pushed through the yellow clouds. The gas didn't affect them at all. They established new defensive lines while Valtor warriors retreated to safe zones. Combat medics, both human and Valtor, worked frantically to treat the injured. Jinwoo was already working with Valtor scientists, analyzing the biological weapon. They needed a countermeasure, and they needed it fast. The krill would use this gas again. Human chemical knowledge combined with Valtor medical understanding might create a solution. Hours blurred together as the battle raged. Jinwoo barely left the command center, coordinating between dozens of units. His voice grew hoarse from constant communication. Coffee and Valtor stimulant drinks kept him functional despite exhaustion. Then Minho's voice crackled through the comm. We have a problem. Aaron's unit is trapped. Sector 12. Surrounded by swarm forces. Jinwoo's heart stopped. He pulled up the display for Sector 12. The situation was worse than Minho described. Aaron and 20 warriors were completely cut off, pressed into a narrow canyon with krill forces on all sides. They couldn't retreat, and they couldn't hold out for long. I need an extraction team, Jinwoo said, his voice tight. Now. Captain Youngja was shaking her head. We can't get ships in there. The canyon walls will prevent orbital fire support. Any team we send will be going in blind. Then I'll go, Jinwoo said. Everyone in the command center stared at him. Youngja looked like she thought he was insane. You're a salvage pilot, not a soldier. This is a combat extraction in hostile territory. I know that canyon. Aaron's unit took me through there during the patrol. I know the terrain, the exits, the defensive positions. Jinwoo was already moving toward the equipment lockers, and I'm the only one here who can coordinate with both human and Valtor forces seamlessly. Youngja caught his arm. This is suicide. Maybe, but I'm not leaving her to die. Jinwoo met her eyes. Will you provide support, or do I go alone? The captain studied him for a long moment, then nodded. You've got guts, pilot, all right. I'll authorize 1 gunship and a squad of Marines. But you follow the team leader's orders. Understood? Understood. 20 minutes later, Jinwoo was in the back of a gunship racing toward Sector 12. 6 human Marines were with him, their armor scarred from hours of combat. Their leader, a sergeant named Hyejin, briefed him on the plan. We drop in fast, establish a perimeter, and get the Valtor out. No heroics, no unnecessary risks. We get our people and we leave. The gunship shook as Krill anti-air fire exploded around them. The pilot wove between incoming fire with skill born from desperation. Then they were dropping, the canyon walls rushing past on either side. They hit the ground hard. The loading ramp dropped and Jinwoo ran out into chaos. Krill warriors were everywhere, their chittering filling the air. Energy fire and plasma bursts turned the canyon into a light show of death. Aaron and her warriors had formed a defensive circle in the center of the canyon. They were fighting with savage determination, but they were running out of ammunition. When Aaron saw Jinwoo, her eyes widened with shock. "What are you doing here?" "Saving you," Jinwoo said. He grabbed her arm. "We need to move now." The Marines laid down covering fire as the Valtor warriors withdrew. Hijin's team fought with professional precision, their weapons cutting through Krill ranks. But there were too many enemies. For every Krill they killed, more appeared. They were halfway to the gunship when a Krill berserker broke through the line. These were the swarm's elite units, 3 meters tall and covered in thick armor. It charged straight at Aaron, its bladed arms raised to strike. Jinwoo didn't think. He just moved. He threw himself between Aaron and the berserker, raising the rifle he'd been given. The Krill's blade came down and Jinwoo felt white-hot pain tear through his shoulder. He fired blindly. The rifle's energy burst, catching the creature in its face. The berserker stumbled. Aaron moved like lightning, her blade flashing. She severed the creature's head with one powerful strike. Then she was catching Jinwoo as he fell, blood pouring from his wound. "Medic," she screamed. "I need a medic." The extraction became a blur of pain and noise. Someone was carrying him. The gunship's engines roared. Then they were airborne, the canyon falling away below them. Medics worked on his shoulder, their hands moving quickly to stop the bleeding. Aaron's face appeared above him. She was saying something, but he couldn't hear over the ringing in his ears. Her expression was terrified, desperate. He had never seen her look afraid before. "I'm okay," he tried to say, but the words came out wrong. Then everything went dark. When Jinwoo woke up, he was in the medical bay of Captain Youngja's ship. The pain in his shoulder had been reduced to a dull ache. Medical nanites, the doctor told him. They had repaired most of the damage. Aaron was sitting beside his bed. She looked exhausted, her armor still covered in battle damage. When she saw his eyes open, relief flooded her face. "You foolish human," she said, but her voice was gentle. "Why did you come for me?" "I promised I wouldn't leave you alone," Jinwoo said. His throat was dry and his voice came out as a croak. "Remember? You nearly died. But I didn't. We didn't." He managed a weak smile. "Did it work? The countermeasure for the gas?" "Yes, Suji and your scientists created a treatment. Our warriors are returning to the fight." Aaron took his hand carefully, mindful of his injuries. "The swarm is retreating. We broke their assault." "The alliance worked. We won?" "We won." Jinwoo closed his eyes, exhausted but content. They had done it. Humans and Valtor, working together, had achieved what neither could have done alone. It was a victory not just for one species, but for the idea that different peoples could find strength in cooperation. "Rest now," Aaron said softly. "When you wake, we will have much to discuss. About the future, about us." As Jinwoo drifted back to sleep, he felt Aaron's hand holding his, a Valtor warrior and a human salvage pilot. 2 people from different worlds who had found something worth fighting for together. The battle was over. But their story was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Koresh 7. The Krill swarm had been pushed back beyond the border regions, their invasion broken. The wasteland where they had gathered their forces was now patrolled by joint human-Valtor teams. It would be years before the swarm could threaten this sector again. Jinwoo stood on a balcony overlooking the Valtor capital city. The view was breathtaking. Ancient stone structures that had stood for thousands of years now shared space with newer buildings incorporating human architectural designs. In the central plaza, he could see both species working together, no longer strangers but partners. His shoulder had healed well, though the scar remained. Valtor warriors considered scars marks of honor, proof that someone had faced death and survived. Several Valtor had asked to hear the story of how he got it. Each time he told them about Aaron and the canyon, about choosing to stand between danger and someone he cared about. The door behind him opened. Aaron stepped onto the balcony, wearing formal Valtor commander armor. She looked tired but satisfied. The council meetings always exhausted her. "How did it go?" Jinwoo asked, better than expected. "The council has approved the permanent liaison program. We will station officers on human worlds and humans will maintain a presence here. She joined him at the railing. They have also granted you a formal title. First Bridge, you are the first to connect our peoples. That's a lot of responsibility. You have already proven you can handle it. Aaron looked at the city below. Change is difficult for my people. We have lived by the same traditions for thousands of years, but you showed us that sometimes tradition must adapt or die. In the months since the battle, the relationship between humans and Valtor had grown stronger. Trade agreements had been established. Valtor minerals, incredibly valuable for human technology, were being exchanged for human agricultural innovations that could make Koresh 7's harsh environment more livable. Medical knowledge flowed both ways, each species learning from the other. But it was the cultural exchange that fascinated Jinwoo most. Valtor warriors were learning human concepts of teamwork and cooperation. Humans were discovering Valtor philosophy about personal strength and honor. Both peoples were becoming richer for the interaction. I spoke with Captain Youngja this morning, Jinwoo said. The first joint exploration ship is ready. They want to launch it next month. I heard. They asked me to command the Valtor contingent. Aaron glanced at him. They also requested you as the chief liaison officer. Are you going to accept? That depends. Will you come with me? There was vulnerability in her voice, a softness that few people ever saw from the fierce warrior. Jinwoo turned to face her fully. Over the past 6 months, their relationship had deepened into something neither of them had expected. It had started with respect, grown into friendship, and blossomed into love. It was complicated, being two different species with different cultures, but it also felt right in a way nothing else ever had. I'll go wherever you go, he said. I promised you that. Aaron smiled, that rare, beautiful smile that transformed her face. According to Valtor tradition, when two warriors save each other's lives, they become shieldmates. Partners bound together for life. It is our highest honor. Is that what you want? To be shieldmates? I have wanted it since the day you threw yourself in front of that berserker for me. Maybe before that. She took both his hands in hers. I dreamed of you long before you crashed here. I saw a future where you changed everything. That future is now, and I want to share it with you. Jinwoo squeezed her hands. Then yes, I'll be your shieldmate, your partner, whatever you want to call it. I'll stand beside you as we explore new worlds and build this alliance into something amazing. They kissed then, a gesture that still felt new and exciting. Valtor didn't traditionally kiss. It was a human custom Aaron had learned and embraced. Their differences made everything more interesting, more precious. Later that evening, there was a ceremony in the Great Hall of the Valtor Council. Both human and Valtor attended, filling the ancient stone chamber with representatives from two worlds. Captain Youngja was there wearing her dress uniform. Minho and Suji represented Aaron's original patrol unit. Even Hana had come, her expression less hostile than before. The eldest council member, Daesung, performed the shieldmate ceremony. It was ancient and formal, conducted in Valtor language with human translation provided. He spoke of honor and duty, of two warriors who had proven themselves in battle and chosen to face the future together. When the ceremony ended, Aaron and Jinwoo stood together as shieldmates, bound by tradition that bridged two civilizations. The hall erupted in applause and the traditional Valtor war chant. Humans and Valtor alike celebrated this union, this symbol of what their peoples could accomplish together. At the reception afterward, Captain Youngja approached them with drinks. Congratulations. You two have come a long way from that crashed ship in the valley. Thank you, Captain, Jinwoo said. And thank you for coming to help when I sent that beacon. If you hadn't responded, but we did. And look what happened. Youngja gestured at the hall filled with both species celebrating together. You know, when I first got your distress signal, I thought it was a joke. A human alive on Koresh 7? Impossible. But you didn't just survive. You changed history. Minho joined them carrying what looked like Valtor's ceremonial drink. First time I see human, I think you die in one day. Maybe two if lucky, he laughed. Now you are First Bridge. Life is strange. Very strange, Jinwoo agreed. But good. Suji approached with several human engineers. They were deep in discussion about combining Valtor metallurgy with human computational systems. The barriers between the species were breaking down naturally as people realized how much they could learn from each other. As the celebration continued, Aaron pulled Jinwoo aside to a quieter corner. I need to tell you something. About my dreams. The ones where you saw me before I crashed? Yes, but there is more I did not tell you. She looked nervous, which was unusual for her. In my dreams, I saw us exploring new worlds together. I saw children, neither fully human nor fully Valter, who would grow up knowing both cultures. I saw a future where our peoples were not just allies, but family. Jinwoo felt his breath catch. Children? Is that even possible? Our biology is so different. I asked the human doctors and our scientists. They say it would be difficult but not impossible. With medical assistance, we could create life together. If that is something you want, he thought about it. A family with Aaron. Children who would represent the best of both their peoples. A future built not just on political alliance but on genuine connection. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. I want that, he said finally. Maybe not right away. We have a lot of exploring to do first. But yes, someday. I want that future with you. Aaron pulled him close, holding him tight. Then we will make it happen. Together. 1 month later, the joint exploration ship launched from Koresh 7's orbital station. It was called the Unity, a name chosen because it represented what both species had built together. The ship was a masterpiece of combined engineering, blending human and Valtor technology into something greater than either could have created alone. Jinwoo stood on the bridge beside Aaron as they prepared for the jump to hyperspace. The crew around them was mixed, humans and Valtor working side by side at every station. Captain Youngja commanded from the center chair, with Aaron as her second in command. Jinwoo served as chief liaison, but his real job was to ensure that both species understood each other. All systems ready, the navigator reported. She was Valtor, trained by human engineers. Course set for the outer reaches, the helmsman said. He was human, mentored by Valtor pilots. Take us out, Captain Youngja ordered. The Unity moved forward, accelerating smoothly. Through the viewport, Jinwoo could see Koresh 7 falling away behind them. The planet where he had crashed, where he had almost died, where he had found purpose and love. It would always be special to him. But now he was looking forward, not back. Countless worlds waited to be explored, new civilizations to meet, new bridges to build, and he would face it all with Aaron beside him, his shieldmate, his partner, his love. What are you thinking? Aaron asked quietly. Jinwoo smiled. I'm thinking about that first morning when I woke up in your tent. When you told me I had been talking about you in my sleep. You do still talk in your sleep, she said with amusement. You speak of many things. Adventures we will have. Worlds we will see. What else do I say? Aaron leaned close and whispered, You say you love me. Every night. That's because it's true. Every night and every day. The Unity jumped to hyperspace, carrying its mixed crew toward unknown stars. Behind them, 2 worlds that had been enemies watched their ship disappear into the void. Ahead, the galaxy waited with infinite possibilities. Jinwoo had crashed on Koresh 7 as a lost salvage pilot with no real direction in life. He was leaving as first bridge, united with a warrior from another world, ready to show the galaxy what humans and Valter could accomplish together. Sometimes the best journeys began with a crash landing. Sometimes the most important discoveries came from being lost, and sometimes the future you were meant to have started with a dream. Aaron had dreamed of him before he arrived. Now they would dream together, building a reality that neither species,